consequences, what happens afterwards and after that are most important. The law of unintended consequences says that in many cases an act or behavior brings about immediate positive results in the short term, but the long-term consequences can be quite negative. For example, a young man quits school to take a job to earn cash so that he can buy a car, socialize, go out with girls, and have an enjoyable life. These are all positive and immediate aims and goals that young people want to enjoy. However, the consequences of a lack of education are often a lifetime of depressed earnings, little upward mobility, and the strong likelihood of the individual's never reaching his or her full potential. Creating something worse. The law of perverse consequences is what happens when the results of an apparently positive action turn out to create a situation that is far worse than if nothing had been done at all. For example, the immediate benefit of giving money to people who need it in our society is to help them and provide for them in the short term. The perverse consequences can be that the individual becomes addicted to free money, drops out of the workforce, becomes dependent on handouts, and loses his pride, self-esteem, and self-respect. The individual ends up much worse off than if nothing had been done at all. In society, the primary reason for social programs, giving money to the less fortunate, is always an attempt to help them to improve the quality of their lives. But the perverse consequences can become a lifetime of dependency and frustrated potential. Think ahead. In chess, with many pieces and many possible moves, your success is based on your ability to accurately anticipate or predict the moves of your opponent. In life, your success is largely determined by your ability to play down the chessboard and to make those moves that lead to ultimate success or victory, however you define it. Dr. Edward Banfield of Harvard studied upward social and economic mobility in the United States and other countries for almost 50 years. He was looking for the reasons why some individuals and families moved up from lower socioeconomic classes to higher socioeconomic classes, generation by generation, sometimes starting at laboring jobs and becoming wealthy in one lifetime. Why did this happen to a small group of people and not to others? Today, in 2015, in the United States alone, there are more than 10 million millionaires, most of them self-made. That is, they started with nothing and passed the $1 million mark in the course of a single working lifetime. In addition, according to Forbes magazine, 2015, there are 1,826 billionaires, with 290 new billionaires in 2015 alone. 66% of these billionaires are first generation, self-made. They started with nothing and earned it all in one lifetime. The common denominator. Banfield wanted to know the common denominator of these people worldwide. He summarized his findings in a remarkable book, The Unheavenly City, which was widely criticized and quite controversial. It flew in the face of what many people wanted to believe, that poverty and welfare were largely inflicted on innocent victims who had no choice or control over what had happened to them. His conclusion was simple and largely irrefutable. In diagnosing the economic success or failure of individuals, he concluded that time perspective was the overwhelmingly important factor. Banfield divided society into 7 classes, from the lowest to the highest: lower class, upper class, lower middle class, middle class, upper middle class, lower upper class, and upper class. It turned out that at each level of socioeconomic achievement, the individuals practiced longer and longer time perspective. Regardless of where they had come from, their level of education, or their current situation, their time perspective was the only consistent difference in their conditions. Time perspective and income. At the lowest socioeconomic level, lower class, the time perspective was often only a few hours or minutes, such as in the case of the hopeless alcoholic or drug addict who thinks only about the next drink or dose. At the highest level, those who are second or third generation wealthy, their time perspective was many years, decades.